Welcome everyone to Camps and More. Today is a very special day because of two different facts. First of all, it's my first video in English, so I try to do my best. But most importantly, it's because I have a very special guest with me today. We'll open up a new interview section on my channel. His name is Matt, but he's most commonly known on YouTube as MrLeicaCom. Matt has one of the largest lists of videos posted about Leica cameras and has a lot of other brands and types of photographic machines, both film and digital. He's an expert doing this, and his channel and its content is really amazing. Welcome to very special welcome, Matt, to the channel. Very special thank you, a big thank you, because this is Matt's idea. This interview thing is Matt's idea. Thank you very much, Matt.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you very much. And Matt is going to share with us some knowledge, some experiences, and some kind of cameras and different stuff. And Matt, let me start with some few questions if you want.
Yes, no problem. I can't promise I'm special, but I'll answer the questions the best I can.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. So your channel name is MrLeicaCom, but you have some different brands. You have different kind of cameras. You have Nikons, you have Hasselblads, you have Voigtlander.
I have a Nikon here, and I brought a few to show you. Hasselblad.
Oh, that's a beautiful one. That's a 501.
501C.
Great. And then, why then Mr. Leica?
I started my blog in the my blog in 2013. Mm-hmm. And at the time, for anybody who was a photographer and on YouTube, there's a guy called Mr. Nikon, Nikon guy,
the Nikon guy, and
the Nikon guy.
Yes,
yes. Yeah, so at the time, that's it, correct. Yeah. And at the time, I was shooting Nikon, and I just moved from Nikon to Leica. So it just seemed normal. Obviously, it's not when I now think about it, but I was shooting digital Leicas, and I'd swapped from digital Nikon to digital Leica, and so I pretty much completely stopped Nikon and started with only Leica. Well, going forward, I was doing only Leica, and at the time it was digital. So for that reason, it seemed, because I was writing about it, everything I was talking about was always something to do with Leica. So I just decided to rebrand the WordPress blog as Mr. Leica, and then that's how it kind of started. And then later on, I was experimenting with different cameras and different lenses, and so that's when I then started picking up Hasselblads and all the other many medium format cameras I have, Mamiya's, Fuji, and then later on I then decided, because I still owned Nikon lenses, I bought some Nikon 35mm film cameras. So that's now why I've got a majority Leica and Nikon film cameras. Oh,
great. So that's a good point. And starting with Leicas, I think you've got with you the M8.
I actually sold the M8, but I did have it for a long time. I started with an M9, and then I bought the M8 as my kind of second body. So I was shooting weddings, and I needed two bodies. So originally I had the M9 and a Nikon D800. The Nikon D800, if you don't know, is much more advanced, but I still preferred the Leica by miles.
But shooting weddings, you mean professionally?
Yes, yeah. And
sorry.
No problem. The Nikon DSLRs at the time, this is pre-mirrorless, so Nikon DSLRs were better than Leica for long lenses, and because you can use zoom lenses, things like this, and they're waterproof, and you've got autofocus if you use autofocus.
That's why I was asking about that, because I mean, when you're shooting weddings, I'm not a professional photographer, I'm an amateur photographer, but I think that if you're shooting weddings, there are certain moments that you might need some quick response. I don't know how to say this, but if you are unable to autofocus, you are always focusing on the lens with a Leica. for a professional job? I mean, is it how do you do it? I mean, is it comfortable to do it? Is it easy, or?
I've got an MT40 here, so I can show you that. Obviously, people that don't know, all the like M cameras are almost identical in the design. So this is digital camera, film camera.
Yes.
But they look obviously very similar. Yes. Once you get used to shooting with a rangefinder, it's almost as quick, and it gives you more confidence to manually focus than it does to autofocus. Because autofocus this sounds stupid. Autofocus can miss, but if you practice enough, you won't miss if you do it manually.
But you have to be very quick. I mean,
well, you know, my problem in it was I was relying on the lens to give me critical focus with an autofocus lens, and sometimes they're not that good. So the lenses are missing. So it was say, for example, for a person for a wedding, it might miss the eye and say it will just like to skim past the head, and the autofocus will be on something in the background, and then you've missed the shot. So it's much safer to use a manual focus camera if you practice beforehand.
So you have achieved a ratio which is much better than autofocus. I mean,
yes, yeah. I don't use autofocus now.
Great. That sounds great. Because it's quite difficult. And normally when you go to weddings, you see the photographer, the professional guy shooting the wedding. Normally they are carrying around Canon 5D, Nikon 850 or something like that. Long lenses and normally zooms. That's the other point. And
that's the main one of the main advantages, I think, of a small camera. I don't have a big Nikon at hand, but if you can picture it, I use a 200mm f2 lens, which is about this big on the front and about this long.
Yes, it's
and
quite
on one body, on one hip, and on the other hip, I had the D700 with a wide lens. But the problem with the zoom, as soon as I pulled this long lens up to photograph people, everybody just kind of drops, and you can't get any natural photos at all.
Yes.
But the advantage of this is if I just wear like a shirt and tie, I can get within half a meter of the guests, and I'm taken away, and this is quieter and it's so discreet with a small lens on.
Yes,
you can get much closer and much more natural looking shots with a rangefinder.
Like more candid shots.
Yes, because also with this Nikon, with a Nikon, the viewfinder is in the center. You can see that.
Yeah.
So it covers pretty much my whole face. So all they see is the big lens on the front.
Yes.
Whereas on a rangefinder, it's on the corner. So they can always see you. So it's much less scary for the sitter or the subject if they can see you. They can see you smiling and things, and it's less. They know who's. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you can get much closer. You can get more. Yeah, I know what you mean. But I thought normally when people talk about rangefinders and Leicas and something like that, it's like cameras designed for street photography normally.
Yeah.
And think about wedding photography with Leica, it's quite amazing. It's like different. I have a problem because I have, well, it's not a Leica, it's a Russian.
No, they're good.
Camera, kind of, but I am left-eyed, so I always put my camera like this, and I tried many times to use my right eye, but I can't. Normally I do this, and and that's the way I shoot. And always my face is behind the camera. It doesn't matter where the viewfinder is, so that's a problem for me with the rangefinder. Or whatever I shoot. Well,
that's it. That's interesting because is that a Fed 2?
That's a Fed 2. Yes, that's an old Fed 2.
I've got some upstairs. They're sharp. They take good photos.
Yeah,
I'll do a proper video at some point.
Yeah, yes,
they're good.
Well, I can't afford the Leica right now. I hope some at some time I could. But I have tried some Leicas. I tried the M3 and I've tried the M4P. That's
nice.
The two I tried. But well, this is not the same, but it gives me kind of similar, I don't know, approach.
Yeah.
So, and So you started with the Leica M9?
Yeah, sorry, to go back to your question. So I started with the M9, which is a full frame digital. It was the first full frame digital Leica.
With a CCD
then bought, yes, CCD, that's it. So that's had the amazing colors. Yeah. So then I bought the M8 as a second body, which is crop sensor. So it's a 1.33 crop. So it's not as big a crop as, say, some of the APS-C model. It's not 1.5, so it's a little bit less. Yeah. So I had the M8 for years, 5-6 years, and I only sold it, I think it was end of last year, I believe. The price was like all the cameras you've probably seen online, the prices were going up and up.
Yes.
And I was kind of thinking, I don't need all these cameras. So I'll show you some more Leicas in a minute. But my worry was, because it's an older digital camera, there's always the risk that something might go wrong with it, and they can't be fixed, or be very difficult, I would imagine, for it to be fixed, being an older body. So it was mainly the reason that it was electronic and it was old was the reason I sold it.
So you sold it and you bought then the 240. Or
I've got an S. I had the 240 at the same time, so I had three. I sold it. I sold the M9. I part exchanged the M9 for the M240. Because the M9, the sensor, the Leica store in London noticed I had the sensor corrosion. You're not aware that was a problem with that, with the M9 camera.
And it wasn't changed during warranty.
Yes. So luckily it was at a time when they were basically, it was just on the edge of them before they stopped the warranties and things. So they did me a good deal. So I had like this bashed up Leica that had done a lot of work for me. So it was almost too good a deal not to say yes to. So yeah, I part exchanged a black M9 and then got the M240. The difference is the M240 is CCD, where the M9 and M8 is, sorry, the M9 and M8 is CCD. This is CMOS.
This is CMOS. Do you notice the change in colors?
Yes.
CD to, yes. And
I wrote a blog post, something like, it took me 1 year to like the Leica M240. That's how big a difference it was from the M9. Even though it was more advanced.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
I have an old, it was my father's first digital camera. It's a Nikon D50. It's an entry-level APS-C, but it has a 6-megapixel CCD sensor, and it's amazing. I love it. I love the colors. I love the blue tones. I love CCD sensors. You can go high. You can go high in ISO because you can go higher than 1600. But it's if you go lower than 800, it's amazing. I love it. It's colors. I don't know. It's like
I think they look a bit more organic or a bit more filmic.
Yes.
These various words that people throw around, but for me, the M8 and the M9 are the closest cameras to film of the Leica cameras. So I stopped shooting film for almost 12 months when I bought the M9, which is crazy to think now, considering I love film. So that's how good the M9 was after coming from the Nikon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Nikon, I was having to download texture layers from Flickr, and I was having to put texture layers on top of every photo before I posted it to Flickr. I found the image is so boring out of camera.
That's what I normally do with my CMOS cameras, because I don't like the look. I prefer that filmic look. I normally use, even in my iPhone, I normally use Lightroom or Snapseed and try to make that organic look. And normally I post in Instagram. I like to challenge people, and I say, is it digital or film? And normally people type digital film, and normally that's a 50-50. Normally they don't I don't know what the word is.
Guess correctly.
Yes, they don't answer correctly. It's a 50-50 response. Well,
that's good editing.
Yes, I like to play with people with that things. So
if you, the way I do it, just for, I guess for your viewers, anybody that's buying CMOS sensor cameras, the easiest way I found to do it, it took me about 12 months to develop them, was to just make Lightroom presets. So they're the ones now which I'd sell from the MrLeicaCom blog. And then as long as I'm using a preset,
I will leave all
onto
the links.
any of my cameras, they're all okay then. And I don't mind them now. So this is CMOS, obviously. I've got the Leica CL, which is currently in Germany being repaired because there's the card got stuck in the SD card slot.
Oh,
so that's annoying. After about 3.5 years, so I've got that one. That's APS-C, and then I've also got
yes, the SL,
which is full frame. So this is my main body, but we can talk about that a bit more later on. But that's also CMOS.
That's also a CMOS sensor, and
yes,
for that body, you can find the L mount Alliance. No, the
I don't know if you guys can see. I'm using a L to M adapter.
So you manually focus with the Leicas.
I use I use M lenses, LTM lenses, like a thread mount.
You don't use
no autofocus.
You don't use any of this stuff. You only use M mount lenses, right?
Yeah, or R lenses, like R lenses. They're very good value, and also the size is a bit bigger, so they're more like Nikon camera lens size or Canon lens size because they're more like SLR. They are SLR lenses.
Yes.
So they're bigger, but it means you can focus closer.
Yes.
So for say portraiture, they're amazing.
Right.
So yeah, I'm using a lot of R lenses at the moment.
Great. And talking about Leica again and the alternatives, because if you go and if you want to buy something that's not that expensive, you had the Voigtlander Bessa. I think you sold it. You told me you sold it.
I had about 7, so I sold some. I've got some still.
7 Bessas. You had 7 and you sold the 7 Bessas you had.
No, I have some still.
You have some still.
I've got the L, Bessa L, which for people that don't know is I think it's the earliest Bessa camera, and it's different because it's got no viewfinder.
Yes,
I've done a video on it. If people are not sure, that's the cheapest Bessa if people want to use wide-angle lenses and no rangefinder, no viewfinder. Then you just need to have a hot shoe viewfinder. Buy that separately and put that on the top.
Yes.
And then you do everything without a rangefinder, and you scale focus by dialing in your distance onto your lens.
Yes, you have to guess more or less.
Yeah, you have to guess. So, but if you stop your lens down to f8,
yes,
you can't miss on a wide lens. So it's really easy, even 5.6. So L was the first one. L is screw mount lenses. Next is the Bessa R. You can see that. This is also screw mount. This is really light. This is why I kept this one, because this and the L are very lightweight. They're a bit plastic, but I like them because if I do a bit of running sometimes, and so I wear it like on either a vest pocket, on a running vest, or like on a waist belt. And because it's light, it doesn't jump around.
It doesn't weigh too much. You can go running and it doesn't disturb you.
Yeah. So this is good if you don't mind using thread mount lenses, the same as your Fed 2.
It has the same mount.
Same mount, yeah.
Okay. I thought it had the M mount.
No. So
the thread mount, like the Fed. Yes.
So the L and the R are thread mount. And then there's 12 different Bessas. So you can test me now.
Yes, there are lots.
So after the R, you got the T. The T is the first Bessa with, I believe it's the first Bessa with the M mount, but it has no viewfinder. It only has a rangefinder. I've got 2 of those because they're amazing. They've got really good rangefinders, and they're one of the cheaper ones. The cheapest 3 is the L, the R, and the T. L for wide angle, no rangefinder.
No rangefinder.
R is kind of a do-everything camera, more like, say, a Fed, but it's got a light meter, which is a bonus. The T has a, trying to swear at the camera, the T has a very good rangefinder, high magnification rangefinder, but no viewfinder. So you need to make sure you buy the separate viewfinder for the lens that you're using. So if you're using 50mm, you need to put obviously a 50mm thing on the top. That's good. That's the best value Leica M-mount lens camera that I am aware of. The Voigtlander Bessa T. So then after the Bessa T, they're more like Leica M cameras. So then you've got the Leica R2, Leica R3, Leica R4, and then for each of those you've got the, I think it's the 2M and the 2A, the R3A, R3M, and the R4A and the R4M. M versions take no batteries, so they are full mechanical, and the A ones have, and the M ones have a mechanical shutter. A ones have a electronic shutter.
Because
so it means if your battery dies, no photos.
No photos, and normally mechanical things you can get them repaired. But
yes,
if they're electronics, you get a beautiful brick.
yes, exactly.
Even Voigtlander, I don't know if you can send it to get repaired anywhere, because you can send Leicas to Germany, but can you send your Bessa to? You
can. So I think, well, obviously we talked a bit before. So for people watching, you asked me about Bessas versus Leicas.
Yes.
And I think you said, I think the question was something like, is it better to pay more and get a Leica? So what's happened is over the reason I've got a lot of cameras is partly because I have no life and I have no house and no wife and no children. So I can buy, all my money goes onto cameras. But the main reason is I bought most of my cameras over the last 10 years and before the prices went crazy.
Went up, yes.
So I was buying kind of Leicas at £500. And now they're like £1,500 for M cameras. So I was really lucky. So at that time, this is how the times have changed. At that time, if you picked up a very new Voigtlander Bessa, because they were made till, I believe, brand new until I think 2012. If I think I had one in, what would it be, maybe 2013, 2014, very, very new Voigtlander Bessa R3A. I tried to get it repaired because the rangefinder was knocked out of alignment, and they basically said it's not worth repairing. It's that kind of disposable. Wow. I was like, but so I just kept it, and then the price went from, I think, £350 to like £1,200.
Yes, they're quite
so
expensive.
Then I got it repaired.
They're getting more or less like Leicas. And
yes, so the Leica, like the M6, the people want M6s.
Yes.
I have
beautiful M6. Yes,
but because these are so expensive, people are buying everything else. So then the prices of everything else has gone up. So I guess trying to get back to your question, the reason I sold some of my Bessas is because they're not built to last.
Yes, that's the point.
The components inside. If an experienced repairman tells me 7-8 years ago that it's not worth repairing, then nothing will have changed between then and now. The only difference is now the prices are much higher, so people will repair them. But the one reason I don't feel bad about buying the vintage Leicas, M3s, things like this, is because they will last longer than me. I can pass them on to my nieces and nephews, and as long as they are repaired, they will just keep going because they're full mechanical. So because the price difference is so little between a Bessa and a Leica, I kept all my Leicas and I sold most of my Bessas. All the fancy Bessas. So like the Bessa R2, the green one that looked really nice, the R3A, the R4M, those were all like £1,000 cameras. I think I've still got 4 left. I've got an R2C left actually, which is a Contax RF mount Bessa. So it's a bit different. Most Bessas are M mounts. You've got the very early ones, which I just mentioned, which are thread mount. But then you've got 2 one-off cameras. One's an R2S, one's an R2C. The R2S is Nikon rangefinder lens mount. So got a Nikon S camera.
It uses the Nikon S and the Kiev.
Yes, correct. And then the Contax RF is Contax RF is closer to the Kiev mount. I would say, if you want to get it correct, the Kiev and the Contax are the same. more or less. And then the Nikon are very slightly different. It's the flange distance, the distance of like the mounting is slightly different. So if you're shooting a fast 51.4 lens, you'll probably miss focus if you put a Contax 51.5 on a Nikon S camera.
You are like a Wikipedia. Camerapedia.
if anybody watching this is interested in any of these, I've made videos on most of these cameras. So all the best is I've made individual full reviews on. The Nikon S2 I've done a video on. It's a nice camera. It looks very similar to, it's similar build and kind of nice workmanship as a Leica, almost. But the rangefinder is better for me on a Leica.
Is it better? Yes.
For me, yeah, this is the best of the best. M3, you cannot get better than it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the M3 is better than the other one.
But the Nikon is good value in comparison.
Yes, it's yeah. Okay, so I will leave the link to all these videos in the description and up here. I don't know where to point, up here or up there. But
I can put some. You can always list them below if it's easier.
Yes,
I'll send you them and then
leave the cards and everything so everybody can check them out and take a look. So, have you tried? What about Chinese 7 artisans, TT artisans, and all this?
I did find one for you. I have a brand new 7 artisans lens. So I don't know if you know, but Voigtlander kindly send me their latest lenses for testing. I test their latest lenses. So like the last one I tested was the 28mm f2 Ultron version 2. Very nice lens.
Very nice.
And so the guys from 7 Artisans saw me make these videos for Voigtlander. So they basically emailed me and said, did I want to make a video on their 7 Artisans 35mm f 5.6 pancake. It's a bit different. I don't know if you can see. The lens opens. Wow. It's got a built-in lens cap, and you focus it on this lever, and that's how it'll mount. Really, let me put it onto a camera for you.
It's like a cup. It's
like a mount, yeah. Which is why they contacted me. I guess one advantage of being Mr. Leica, anything Leica, people find. Well, there you go. So that's on an M240.
Wow, it's really small. It's amazing. Yeah. It's half a pancake, half a regular pancake. It's wow, and it's
a strange lens because it's fixed aperture, f5.6 only, and then you focus it with this lever. So the lever opens the lens cap to start off with. That's kind of say 0.7 meters, and that's maybe infinity. So the problem you've got is there's very little. It's not accurate. The scale on the lens is not very accurate in terms of it's so close together. So I found it is better using live view or say on a mirrorless camera. It's better on a mirrorless than it is on a true rangefinder. Oh, and also it's not. So my little brain. It's not rangefinder calibrated.
That's what this means is you can't use it with your rangefinder. You must.
No, if you're looking through here, the patch is not moving when you're moving this. So I tested it, but I'll be honest, I've not used it since. So it's probably not a lens that I'll keep long term.
It's more like a lens cap and something that you.
Yeah. But the size is very cool.
Yeah. It's
for anybody interested who's watching, you can't. I said to them, gold is probably not the best color for people buying lenses, so they make it in silver and black.
Well, it looks old. It looks like
maybe like a Petzval lens. Yeah,
yes.
Like the brass.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. So that's the only lens I've used from 7 Artisans. I've not used any of their normal the more popular prime lenses. And I've got nothing against these Chinese lenses. I just prefer to buy older classics made by the common brands, whether it's Leica. It doesn't even need to be Leica. It can be Zeiss, it can be Voigtlander, it can be even like the Russian lenses. I'd rather buy Russian lenses than I would Chinese.
Rather than using the Chinese versions.
At the moment.
Yes.
But I'm sure they're amazing. A lot of people write to me on YouTube and tell me that they're really good.
Yeah, I have not tried them. I only tried the younger lenses for Nikon.
Yeah.
I tried and for Canon, I tried the 50mm f1.8, which is roughly a copy of the Canon 50mm 1.8, and the 35 f2.0 for the Nikon. And I had problems with the autofocus, and I sold it because, I mean, the lens is quite good. It's not that different than Nikon, but it doesn't work so nicely, so Nikon, like, I don't know how to say, but
it's not like Nikon to Nikon talking.
Yes, yeah, it's not the same. So for the Canon, it worked better than for the Nikon. I don't know why. I don't know if the connections or something like that. So maybe with the older cameras, with the D50 it worked properly, but with the D40 it didn't. With the D5000 that I sold before, it didn't work also properly. So I tried and I sold it. I didn't like it. Well,
there is one Chinese lens that looks quite nice, but you can tell it's a good lens because the price is much higher than all the other Chinese lenses. Well, many of the ones I've looked at. It's the 35 f2. It's on a par. They tried to design it to be similar to the Summicron 35 Summicron. That lens is supposed to be good, I believe, but you can tell because the price is much higher.
Which brand?
I might have to tell you after. I'm not sure if it's 7R lens. I believe it's something like light something. But I think it's over €1,000 though.
Yes,
it's a different price.
Some expensive ones that should be for that price should be good. I mean,
yeah,
of course. And what if you could only take one camera and one lens with you for your everyday use? If you have, there's a bomb and you can only grab a camera with you and run away, which one would it be?
I'd probably say, I've always said, if you'd asked me in the last 10 years, I would always say a Leica M3.
A Leica M3.
No question, because it's got for me, the best viewfinder. 50mm isn't ideal for, say, street photography and landscape photography because obviously it's not as wide. But I mean, some of the classic photographers, they took all the famous photos with 50mm because at that time the only lens available was 50mm.
Yes.
Because that was the easy focal length to make. So that's why a lot of the earlier lenses are 50mm focal length. So I would say M3. The only reason I hesitate is because at the moment I'm shooting with a lot of SLR cameras, and the advantage of SLR cameras is you can focus closer. So, for example, I made a video on the first lockdown saying what is the best camera for lockdown.
Yes.
And it wasn't the M3 because if you can only focus as close as 0.7 meters, for any of you that know your M3s, you can modify an M3 from the standard 1 meter to focus to 0.7 meters. So mine are modified to 0.7, just in case people are like, no, that's incorrect. So you can modify them. So even though 0.7 meters is not close enough for everyday photography. So when I was doing my lockdown video, I think I said the Nikon FE2 was my favorite. Because you can do everything with an SLR camera. You can focus close, you can do macro, you can do everything.
And it's not that big. I mean, it's
I've got
carry around SLR. It's not. If you put them side by side.
Yeah. Try not to drop a nice Leica.
It's more or less the same.
Yeah, it's not too different. The lenses are the main difference, but you can get pancake lenses for the Nikon. I've done some videos recently, and I've started enjoying the Nikon, especially with the smaller lenses.
Which one, for example?
There's a 51.8 pancake, the Japanese version. There's the common, but there's I think 4 versions or 5 versions. The E version's the cheap one. They're probably €50 perhaps. They're the basic one. Then there's one that's a non-E, that's slightly better. All of those lenses focus to 0.6 meters. And then there's a version 3 pancake, which is the Japanese version that focuses to 0.45 meters.
Wow.
which is just that bit better for everyday use, and they're all the same size. So my favorite pancake is the 50 version 3 from Japan. Had to import it from Japan because they're much more difficult to find. You can find them in Japan, just not in England so easy.
Yes, I think.
So, and then I was just going to say, if you prefer something wider, definitely check out the Voigtlander 23.5 SL lens. So this is Nikon f-mount Voigtlander lenses.
Voigtlander for a Nikon.
Amazing.
20?
So there's a 23.5 pancake. There's a 28. I think that's also 3.5. I might be getting the f-stops wrong. 28, I think it's 3.5 color scope pancake. And then there's the Voigtlander 40 f2 Ultron. These are they're all called SL lenses.
SL.
And they're made for Nikon f-mount, Canon, and I believe maybe Pentax in the early days. But they make them now.
Pentax.
Yeah. I haven't got it mounted.
I must check this out.
Yeah, check them out. They're amazing. The optics are fantastic. Like if you want, say, 28, watch. Don't want to plug my own videos, but if you see my 28mm video, you'll see the 28mm Voigtlander against the latest 28mm Voigtlander M lens, and they're not that different optically. And so that means suddenly the main reason I shot Leica originally is because everybody thinks the lenses are better. But once you can put Voigtlander lenses onto a Nikon, then they start to get very even, because I'm happy to use Voigtlander lenses on Leica cameras.
So the reason is much more the lens than the camera itself. I mean, it's not
twofold. Once you find small Nikon bodies, such as the FM, FE, FM2, FE2, say FA, or my smallest is an FG20. It's a bit plasticky, but it's even smaller than this. Once you have something the same size as a Leica, then that removes the excuse of the camera is too big. Once you then use the Voigtlander lenses, that then excuses the lenses are too big, because normally SLR lenses are much bigger. So then once you have a small SLR with a small SLR lens, then the main difference is if you want to focus closer, SLR cameras are better, and they tend to have a lot more features. So, for example, this has 4,000ths of a second maximum shutter speed. Things like this, built in. I can screw in a diopter. I've got a diopter screwed in on the back. I'm slightly short-sighted. They just have a lot more features than the Leicas. But if you want to use a rangefinder, then obviously Leica's still the way to go. The main difference is, for people that don't know, if you're looking through a rangefinder the same as your Fed, because this is just a piece of glass, this never blacks out. So you're taking pictures, but you can always see people coming into your window ready to take the picture. So even when we go back to the wedding scenario, it's better to use a rangefinder, because you can see the people over here, something's about to happen, then you can just twist. But on a Nikon, you're blinkered, so you can only see just in front of you and nothing to the left or the right. So this is why documentary photographers like these, because they can see everything around them. So rangefinders are better because you keep a constant view of a line of sight onto your subject, where with a SLR camera, because you have the mirror inside, every time the mirror flips, when you take the shot, black, exactly.
Unless you are left-eyed like me.
I'm not sure if there are any right-eyed rangefinder cameras. I don't think I've ever seen one.
It's a bit weird if they exist. very, very
I think for people like you, there must be some design engineer that made one.
Because I write with my right hand. I'm right-handed for everything, but I'm left-eyed. I don't know why.
Oh no,
it's my fault. And what about Barnax?
Barnax, I have one. So this is a Leica 2. I don't know how clear it is. Leica 2F. I've done videos on these to give you kind of a quick difference between the two. Every Leica Barnax except the very latest, which is the Leica 3G, do not have parallax correction, meaning if you focus close to your subject with a rangefinder, with a M camera, the frame moves. So as you focus closer, the frame moves with you. So what it means is your photo is always in the correct position that you want to when you compose. With a Barnett camera, this doesn't happen. The same as on your Fed too. So if you focus close, you'll be slightly missed up or down or left or right, depending on whether you're like this or like this. The other difference is on a Barnett camera, you have two windows. You have one for the rangefinder, one for the viewfinder, meaning you have to focus first.
Yes.
This lens is beautiful.
Oh,
so this is with the lens attached.
Yes.
You can see that. So this is the 53.5. So you pull the lens out to use. You then use the left, I have to remember myself, the left window to focus. And then you need to move your eye from the left window to the right window to compose, and then you take your shot. So it's like a two-step process, where with an M camera, everything's in one viewfinder, rangefinder and viewfinder combined. So it's a faster process. This is better for portraits because somebody could move in the time for you to go this to this. It's not quite like this, but in the time for you to move your eye, they could move, and then you can misfocus.
Yes. If you're using a fast
Barnett cameras are limited 1 meter close focus distance. M cameras 0.7 meters. So for portraits, M cameras are better.
Better.
M cameras, I'll open the back of this one quick. M cameras, you open the back door to load the film, which makes it very easy, and it means you do not need to cut your 35mm film. You just load it like any other 35mm camera. On a Barnett, you have to cut the first piece of film, maybe this long, out of the leader to make your leader longer, and then put it in. And there's no back door on these cameras. So for that reason, some people say they're more difficult to load.
A little bit.
So I guess in summary, M cameras are better for portraits because you can focus closer and you can focus quicker. These are good for, say, street photography, walk around, because they're so small. Try and do them side by side for you. And also they're a lot cheaper. And if anybody's interested in Leicas, just reach out to me and I can help you. But these are currently, I think these are, say, 1,500, more or less, for a Leica non-M6. A Leica M camera, say M2, M3, M4P. These are probably about 300.
Yes, in Spain I found a 3F for 450 euros, more or less, with a 50mm. I think it's the collapsible one, and yes, more or less 450 euros. And
that's not so bad.
Yes.
I don't know. I'd say the other things too, just what I'm thinking to think of, if you're using, say, an M6, this has got an M6 and M4P, the ones I use, have a hot shoe. These have a cold shoe. So if you're doing flash photography, M cameras are better. But the main difference is if you use, say, like a M240, which is an M camera, and you own M lenses, because this is a thread mount camera, that's the main difference. If you already own M lenses,
use this lens over there, but you cannot use in the M mount. Yes.
So I think if you already own M glass, buy an M camera. Makes sense. But if you don't own any M lenses, definitely check out the Leica 3 cameras. The only thing I'd probably recommend is a lot of these cameras are obviously very old. They can be 90 years old.
Yes.
Some of them are like 1930s onwards. So for that reason, they may need a CLA. So you may need to build in an additional cost of maybe 150 euros, maybe more, for a CLA on top of the listed price.
Well, but it's a 90-year-old camera and it's working. Maybe the newer ones in 20 years from now, they don't work. So
exactly, I'd say they're actually more beautiful than an M3, and that's saying a lot because M3s are amazing. So if you just want something like a beautiful timepiece instead of a nice watch, these are fantastic.
Yes, this is amazing. I don't know if you have to stop here because it's
yes, I will have to in a second. Do you just want to say like a bye-bye?
As a conclusion, Matt, this is been really exciting, a wonderful chat, a wonderful talk. This idea is wonderful for me. I want to thank you for your help for the channel, and I hope the community, my little community, goes and follows you in your channel, because you have really amazing videos. I haven't seen the hundreds of videos you've made, but I have seen a lot, and I can tell all the people that your work is amazing. It's beautiful, and I hope you enjoyed as I enjoyed this chat. You can reach me back whenever you want. I'm here. You got my Instagram and everything, and please check MrLeicaCom at Instagram. And thank you for everything, Matt. That's all I can say. I'm very pleased to have you here.
No, thank you so much for being my first interview collaboration video. You're my first one.
Great.
It's just about to cut off, but yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for being my first collaboration video. And yes, hopefully some of my viewers will come and check your channel out. I will share this video. So, and we will stay in touch.
Yes, we stand in touch. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Have a good evening. Bye.
Good evening. Bye.
Bye.